Hey everybody, it's me again, Russ Shaw, and this is yet another dash cam session. Here we go. Put you right there on the dashboard, as usual. Today I wanted to talk about porn addiction, sexual addiction, an email that I've got, a series of emails I've got over the years. What the question comes up in people's minds, in people's hearts: am I sexually addicted, Russ? Am I? How do I know if I'm a sex addict? How would you define a porn addict, for example? We use pornography. We'll put it in that context. First of all, the word sexual addiction or even pornography addiction is not recognized by the American Medical Association as a real addiction. There's what's called compulsive sexual behavior, and that is a diagnosis. But as far as sexual addiction is concerned, not really considered an addiction, to use that word. Addictions are mainly in the category of chemical dependency, but really, I mean, people are addicted to food, people are addicted to gambling. There are chemicals that are going on in our minds that we can become addicted to. Some of these same chemicals are very persuasive in changing our brain chemistry and bringing us to this place where we end up doing that which we do not want to do. As far as I'm concerned, that is the definition of addiction. I'm doing something I do not want to do. I have a behavior in this area that has kind of taken control over me, and I'm not controlling it. Does that make sense? Like, if you look up addiction in the dictionary, Webster's Dictionary, grab a dictionary, dictionary.com, it's going to say that one of the definitions in there is a bad habit, right? An addiction is a bad habit. It's a repeated behavior, and it's a bad habit. So, breaking the habit, first of all, I think that this is a very important question, because that is one of the biggest ways to break the habit, is to admit that you have a bad habit. Okay? So while all the medical, psychological, sociological community wants to argue whether this is an addiction or not, the fact is that if it controls you, you're not controlling it. If you have, hurt feelings, despair, if you're hurting someone in your family, if your intimacy level isn't what it ought to be because of your porn use, then you have an addiction. You are an addict. You're addicted. If you've tried to stop for 2 weeks, for example, and haven't been able to, you're addicted. Now, there's two kinds of people out there. There's going to be some that say, well, I would like to use porn in moderation, Ross. Is it okay to use porn in moderation? As far as I'm concerned, and this is not just my opinion, I'm a biblical, Bible-believing Christian. So one of the things about that means Jesus says that, your thought life is lustful, is the same as adultery. So as far as that's concerned, no. All right? No, you're not to be looking at porn. Jesus says, don't look at porn. I don't want to be looking at porn. But outside of my faith, neurologists are going to say, this is true scientific fact that's out there, is even a little pornography changes your brain chemistry. It changes your ability to recognize sex for what it should be, and that is to bring you closer to someone that you're in love with. There's a leading neurologist that's at Berkeley University, Rich Ivory, was talking about the perceptions of object recognition, for example. We start to learn habits and patterns and behavior. If you grab a cup or a bottle of water, for example, this is a bottle of water. My eyes see it, my hand picks it up. I know what it is. I built neural pathways to define this object as a bottle of water. You see a woman building, especially the younger generation, the younger you are, you see someone of the opposite sex and your mind starts to go instantly to explicit sexual thoughts. It becomes very difficult for your brain to change that object recognition, okay? To use I've heard this for years, right? Don't objectify women. I think there's scientific evidence that will support the fact that it is changing the way your neural pathways work, all right? That's scientific fact. Even a little porn does that. So, we shouldn't be looking at porn at all. It's kind of like looking at heroin and comparing it to beer, Should we be doing heroin recreationally? No, okay? There's a reason heroin is illegal. It is highly addictive. Sexual addiction deals with different chemistry in your brain. One of them is norepinephrine. That's actually a serotonin inhibitor. Another one is dopamine, which is part of your pleasure centers. It's one of the most addictive chemicals in your mind. And all of these, right, they bring down to the same as chemical addiction. So I hope that makes sense. Yes, you're addicted. If you can't stop doing it, you're addicted. If you think that, if you disagree with me and you disagree on the experts about pornography addiction, and you think you can go a month without it, stop for a month. If you think that you can use it recreationally or whatever, stop doing it for a month. That's my challenge to you. If you can't stop doing it for a month, you're an addict. You make a decision, I'm not going to do this for a month, just to see how different I think about sexuality. I'm telling you it's going to be healthier for you. I'm telling you chronic compulsive masturbation is also changing the way you do sex, and it will later on in life make you less stamina. And there's more research on that. The JanusReport.com. Janus, not like the woman's name, but like the Greek god Janus. There's some information on there about that. So again, it's a bad habit. Have you been able to stop the habit? Have you tried to stop and were unable to? If you have, and you can't stop, you're probably addicted. The truth about pornography is you don't own your pornography. Your pornography owns you.